Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Military Mondays. For those who don't know who I am retired Major Brenda Sanchez, and I am the co-founder of Life's Real Currency with my husband, Michael Sanchez. And I bring you these Military Mondays every single Monday morning at 8 a.m. Mountain Time because I want to educate the civilian community and the military community, because in my career in the Air Force in 27 years, there are things that I learned toward the end of my career that I wish I had known at the beginning of my career. And I'm sure Rodney feels the same way. And
Yes.
so the other thing I like to do is I like to highlight veteran business owners. And I have the distinct honor today of having Rodney Gullatte. He is a certified ethical hacker. He is the owner of Firma IT Solutions in Florida and Colorado Springs. And he's just a super amazing guy here in Colorado Springs. I've known Rodney now for 4 years-ish.
Yep.
And I mean, he hit the ground running when he moved to Colorado Springs and grew a very large network in a very short period of time and really made a big impression and is still having a big impact on the Colorado Springs community in the cyber arena. And so with that, thank you so much for being on today, Rodney.
Thank you, Brenda. Appreciate you. Thank you for your service, my friend.
Thank you for your service. So Rodney was a senior airman, but he has a unique story because he wasn't in the service in cyber. So I'm going to let him share just a short what he did in the service and how he got to be a cyber expert.
So thank you, Brenda. So I went into the military in 2001. My 5th week of basic training was September 11th. So it was a very interesting day. And when I asked to go into an IT cybersecurity field with the recruiter, they gave, me they didn't tell me anything about IT. They didn't tell me anything about comm squadrons, which is where all the stuff is. So I ended up becoming electrical power production and aircraft arresting systems. And I made some amazing friends there. I was very, very good at my job, but I also still wanted to pursue my IT career. So since I was in a job that was not IT related, I didn't get the support to get that IT training. So I just did it on my own. And sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles. Sometimes the system isn't set up to support what you're trying to do. So you just got to go do it yourself. So that was extra time on my own time to get certifications. And I ended up getting the nickname, the Black Bill Gates. That was my name. That was my nickname in CE over at Eglin Air Force Base. So I ended up using the skills that I was learning to help revolutionize how CE did their job, because that's not a computer related field at all. These are folks that are working on generators and outside and they're doing electrical work and building buildings. It's not computer heavy stuff. So I created a web-based application that ended up being endorsed by the Command Chief of Air Force Material Command. And they ended up using it in my squadron. We had 4 crews and they ended up using my program, and it was great. Didn't get paid any money because I did it on government time with government resources, but that was fine. That was fine. It was a contribution that I wanted to make the organization better. So we went off having to use all this paper for all this work that we had to do was all electronic now. And that was when the CAT cards first started coming out in the Air Force. So we ended up using those digital signatures to sign documents. And it was revolutionary. Got ranked early. I was in just about 4 years and ended up getting below the zone because of that work that I had done. I went to Saudi Arabia for the Shock and Awe campaign and ended up using my skill set over there to create, living Excel documents that nobody else knew how to create. But it had incredible value for our leadership, and they were able to show it to, even higher leadership to see fuel consumption and energy consumption on the generators that we were using. We knew when to ask the fuels folks to bring more fuel to the big old bladder that we had outside to power the generator. So, it's all about creating value, right? Mm-hmm. So when the time came to get out, that's exactly what I did, because I was not able to move and go into any other career fields because what I was in was critical. So I had to make a choice. Do I stay in the career field I'm in and just give into it, or do I just stay with my eyes on the prize and go after my dream? So I did that. Ended up getting out of the Air Force in Fort Walton Beach. My wife was in Korea. She came back. We ended up moving to Tucson, Arizona, and I started with Geek Squad many, many moons ago. And
so before
yes.
we go any further, because
Yes.
you said a couple of things that I want to key in on before I forget to highlight them. And you said that you were in and you chose to get out to follow the path that you wanted to follow. So I specifically want to talk to those people right now that may be in the service that feel like they're stuck in a rut and maybe they're not doing what they're passionate about. What advice would you have for them in making that transition? Obviously, there's lots of decisions that go into that, and you were earlier in your career than maybe a 10 or 15 years in. But do you have some advice for people that might be in that situation right now? Words of wisdom or inspiration for them to help them do what they're dreaming of, like to make that jump that maybe they're scared to do?
So the fear thing is important. I'm glad you said that. You have to have courage. You have to have courage. And you are jumping out on a limb, but it's your life. And, I was very honored to serve this country, but they will get what they need out of you. They will get what they want out of you. So you need to make sure that you are taking care of yourself at some point in that military career. I did not want to do electrical power production. That's not what I went in for. I did not want to go to Caterpillar school. They were going to send me to Onan school. That's not what I wanted. But I couldn't let go of my dream. I knew what my passion was. I was already doing it before I came into the Air Force. I did my passion while I was in the Air Force and changed what they were doing to make their operations better. And I knew that if I were to get out, I was going to have the freedom to pursue it in any and all avenues that I wanted. There was nothing going to be holding me back. I did try while I was active duty to try to change career fields and was denied. I tried to go into OSI, I was denied. I tried to go into comm, I was denied. And I followed all the rules. I did it during the whole window when you're supposed to be able to change career fields, and it was denied. So I'm like, dude, look, if I can't, go and pursue what I need to do, then I need to go. So I prayed about it, I made that decision, I left. And it's my life has been better for it. And the cool thing about it, Brenda, several years later, after Geek Squad, after working for power companies and all that, and after a really nice career after the military, I did end up coming back into the military in civilian clothes to work IT. So I did end up working at the CT NOSC at Network Enterprise Technology Command at Fort Huachuca. That was amazing. I got to work in cyber for the U.S. Army, and I had a huge responsibility in that job. And then I ended up getting promoted to work at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. So I'm finally back in the Air Force, working in civilian clothes, in the career field that I wanted, and it was the greatest job I've ever had. Working at Davis-Monthan on that project, and awesome. I really got to make everything that I knew how to do. I got to put it all on the line. I had to write reports to my leadership. I had no leadership locally. All my leadership was at Langley. I had to report to them in writing every week with a very long report on everything I was doing. And they were amazed with everything I was able to do. And they were like, Rodney, how are you doing the job of 4 people by yourself? It's like, well, you guys set me up, put me in a corner. I had to innovate. I had to use technology to multiply my presence across a very large base. And they would fly out just to come shadow me and see how in the world I was doing all this work. I had a huge office. It was about the size of the Fulberg Colonel's office in the group building. And, some people were jealous, but most people were very thankful for my skill set, and they loved how I engaged them. There's a lot of people that go into these environments and they don't become leaders in those environments. They become burdens on whatever part of the organization they're a part of. So there were a lot of things that I didn't have to do because I was in civilian clothes working in a military environment, but I did them anyway. I would go to the going aways. I would get involved with the troops. I would go hang out with the chief. I would have, I got out the Air Force as a senior airman, right? So now I'm in a position where I have, colonels walking into my office apologizing. The first thing they do is apologize. I'm sorry, Rodney. Do you have a moment? Can I come in and talk to you? I'm like, man, are you kidding me? Come on in, sit down, sir. Come sit down.
So,
Forget those. Those were great.
the key is building relationships
Yes.
and building a network
Yes.
of people that can support you and you can support them, because when you support them long enough, eventually they need you,
Yes.
for something. So it's about givers gain. We have the hashtag in there, givers gain, because you
That's
and
right.
I are both in BNI, and it's about giving to the community. It's about giving to prospective clients without expecting anything in return. And it's amazing what happens.
Correct.
So I want to talk about the soft skills and the hard skills that are learned in the military. And I know you weren't in cyber in the military, but you were on the civilian side. What type of skills? So if I was a civilian employee looking in the cyber career field, looking to hire somebody, why would I want to hire somebody out of the military, somebody from the Air Force or the Army? Why would I want to consider that?
Well, if you're a civilian company, your chances of finding somebody who already has a security clearance is pretty high. So that's a money saver from that business side when you're hiring employees. The other piece is loyalty, teamwork, excellence in all we do. Just those core value things that we have, especially coming out of the Air Force. You get those when you bring somebody in out of the military. If you are hiring somebody in an IT related field that was in an IT field in the military, we have directives, and you have to have certain qualifications and certifications in order to do certain type of work. So you're going to have people coming out of the military with those certifications already. So that's another thing you don't have to worry about. So you have security clearance, and you got somebody with certifications, and they have the right attitude. Just bring them in. They're ready to go. And most of these DoD contracting companies, you're working in a military environment anyway. So you already know, a lot of people probably aren't going to come in the building with their hat on, in the middle of a business meeting. You take your hat off when you come indoors. It's things like that. And respect for your teammates and respect for your superiors, and everything else can be learned. And what's really nice about a lot of these civilian companies, when they hire, they will invest in your education. So it's very important, if you're in the military looking to get out and work for one of these companies, in the interview process is two ways. It's not just the company interviewing you, but you need to be interviewing that company. You need to come in there with the questions to ask them. So ask them, I think it's probably one of the best questions you can ask. Hey, how can you guys support my education? So when I was working for General Dynamics, not only did they get me my certifications, but they also reimbursed me for school. So I was able to finish my bachelor's degree and get certification training and get my certs paid for while I was working for General Dynamics. And that's just GDIT. There's a lot of other companies out there that will do the same thing, but they won't do it unless you ask. Ask and you shall receive. I mean, that's basics. That's St. Matthew 7:7. That's just that's what opens the door to the rabbit hole. You have to ask, because if you don't ask, they're not going to give you something just for free. You need to ask for it. So ask for it and make yourself better. And they like when you are about self-improvement and a lifelong learner mindset. They love that. So go into those jobs with that in mind, and you should do well.
Awesome. So somebody that's looking to transition, I happen to know that Firma IT is always looking to hire sharp cybersecurity folks. And so somebody getting ready, maybe that's in the service right now, that is getting ready to transition maybe in the next 2 to 3 years, what advice would you have for them? And how can they get a hold of you and maybe start that relationship process, so that when they step their foot out of the service, that maybe you can connect them either at Firma IT or in the community, because you are so well networked here, not just in Colorado Springs, but in Florida. I mean, across the country, really, with cyber, you're well known. So people can reach out to you and build that relationship, and you may be able to give them a foot in a door somewhere. So what suggestions would you have for people that are getting ready to transition?
So look me up on LinkedIn. It's my first name, last name. I'm the only one out there. Very obvious when you find me. And send me a message, and I'd be happy to talk with military. You know, if you've been in for a short time or you've been in 20 plus years and you're getting ready to get out, I think the longer that you're in, the more challenging it is to conceive your life outside of that system, because you've been getting paid on the 1st and the 15th. You go to work, and you know, you're kind of usually told what you're going to be doing that day, and it's a little less driven that way when you're outside of the military. So, and you don't really know who to talk to, what groups are out here. This is a very heavy networking town, Colorado Springs. If you have a LinkedIn account, you need to update it, because when people meet you, the first thing they're going to do, even if you give them a business card, the first thing they're going to do after that is go to LinkedIn and look you up, especially here. So make sure your LinkedIn is good. Make sure your resume is good. Make sure you get on USA Jobs. If you want to work in this defense environment or just work for the government, period, get on USA Jobs and fill out your resume using their form-based system. I mean, it's good to have your own resume, upload that too, but fill it out in their system and go in there like every week and look for your jobs. Create a little search query for what jobs you might want, where those jobs you want might be, and apply for them. Every time you see them, apply for them. Because the thing about USA Jobs, it's like for all you gamers out there, it's a game. So when you apply, it is tracking how many times you apply. It's tracking those numbers. And there are qualification steps to getting a job through USA Jobs. You can either be, picked up for consideration. You could be a finalist for consideration. You could get the job. There's several qualifications, like levels of getting a job in there. So it tracks all those and how many times you got those. So when employers are looking for somebody, they're looking at all those stats on the back end that you don't see. And it gives you a greater chance of ending up with a job at the end. For the other contracting firms, the General Dynamics, the Lockheed Martins, the Raytheons, for Raytheon, you have to have a degree. Doesn't matter how many certs you have. They don't care. If you don't have a degree, they're not going to hire you. That's just Raytheon. The other ones are a little more lenient, but you still need to have those certifications if you're going to work in cyber or IT related field. So go to their websites and fill out their resume engines, their form-based system, the same way. Use it the same way you would use USA Jobs. I've had people who have been in, and it's been a real pleasure for me to be helping transitioning military already. Officers enlisted that are getting ready to get out, that are retiring. So they've been in 20 plus years. They don't know where to go. So they've been talked to about me. They're reaching out to me. So I am inviting them to BNI meetings. I think you were there when I had those guys from NORAD Northcom come by.
Yep.
And they came by in uniform. Like, dude, come see what the world looks like when you get out of the military. So it's not such a shock to you. Come check out the chamber in EDC. Come check out the women's chamber. Come check out the Black Business Network. There's a lot of networking to be done. There's a huge cybersecurity community here. I'm honored to be a member of the local Cybersecurity Leaders Collaborative. So we have all of our cybersecurity leaders in this town that get together once a month. And there are other organizations where we get together for our First Fridays. And that is hosted by Murray Security Services and the Chamber in EDC. And we've got people who are getting ready to get out of the military. We've got people who are working for the DoD contracting firms. We got people who are hiring. We got recruiters. We're all in the same space together, having a drink, and just having candid conversations about cyber and career paths and hooking people up. So if you want to get LinkedIn with the Cyber First Fridays, that's a great place to start if you're trying to go into IT cyber career field after the military. There's a lot of places to go. So I'd love to help you. So please reach out to me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Rodney. I appreciate you being on this morning. I appreciate you and your support in this community. You're always giving back, involved in lots of nonprofits and different organizations here, trying to make Colorado Springs a better community for everyone, including the military. So thank you so much. Appreciate you being on. If you are a veteran and you own your own business, I would love the opportunity to maybe interview you on Military Mondays. If you are the spouse of a veteran, you are also somebody I would like to interview, because we didn't talk about it today. We did on the last one. So you got to go find the last interview on YouTube or on Facebook with Rodney, because we talked about being a spouse, because he's also the spouse of a military member who's getting ready to retire herself.
Yeah. Yes, she is.
And so I would love to potentially interview you too. And if you would like to stay connected to me, you can find me on Facebook or on LinkedIn as Brenda Sanchez. And you can reach out to militarymondays.info and provide me your information, and I'll keep you connected with past shows and upcoming shows and great interviews that have happened on Military Mondays. So with that, thanks everyone, and I will see you next Monday on Military Mondays. Bye.